Excellent. Yeah, we can be profit the housing. Maybe yes, this.
Right. Yeah. You'll be ready. This is. Huh? August is the It's a mic. Yes. Okay, that you know, spotted in the CCO. Die Golfse society voor achtergebleven.
No, it's here now. You're broke.
No, say that.
It's and we've been walking it for.
I think that you start with the green football. You start.
Why would you do? You know,
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this information meeting. It is completely informal. We have no voting or anything like that. We would just want to share with you what is going on and what has happened and what is going to happen in a few areas. We can divide them in three current projects, the budget for this year, and the strategy for the next 3 years. Last time we met, let me say welcome to all of you who are watching on the net, on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. Welcome to you too. Hope everything is working in terms of technology and support. Last time we met was in beginning of December last year, when we had a special general meeting for the solar project. And the SDM took a decision to implement the solar project and the connected power purchase agreement and so forth. And as you can see from the car park and from the roof, we have very tangible results from that decision. But I will hand over to Gavin to talk much more about that and the other ongoing projects. Then I think Gavin will also talk about the budget. And then Peter, towards the end, will talk about the strategy for the next 3 years. And then we take questions before we round off the meeting. So I hope everybody are okay with that. And without further ado, Gavin, over to you.
All right. Okay. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Good evening to those who came out on this cold night. Thank you much. And for those members who joined us online, do appreciate all your attendance. Again, as Paz mentioned, it's just a quick update, little information update where we are, what all the projects. As you can see, there's quite a few this year. So it's a quick update. And then obviously there'll be more formalized things for the AGM in a couple of weeks' time, but this is more an update on information. So as we communicated, we're going to touch on 5 projects, 5 items. One being solar, then paddle courts, 12-hole, budget, and strategy. Okay. Start with the solar PV project. As Paz indicated, you'll have seen the progress outside. There's been a lot of progress, so we took this opportunity to give you a little more update. So in the picture that you can see here is our actual roof. So you can see the amount of panels that are up there. So you can only see a little bit from the 18th hole, but there's quite a significant amount of panels up there. Just in keeping in mind, once it's all installed, we're looking at approximately 800 panels. So there's a significant amount of panels all in all. So just to give you a progress update, where we are, as of about a couple of hours ago, the panels on the roof itself have been switched on. So we're now generating power through the panels. There is no batteries or inverters yet. That's still to come. So it's literally just the panels from the roof that are giving us some sort of solar power. But that's all happening as of today. The car park is, you would have noticed, they started putting the panels up today on certain sections. So the plan is by end of May, all the panels will be installed in the parking lot on top of the structures. So then we can start using, once the repairs of the tires have been done. So by the end of May, we should be able to use the facility back to a parking lot. Then the next big milestone, if you want to call it, after the panels are installed, will be the arrival of containers, the container with the battery packs and the inverters, which is projected approximately middle of June, and then connect that. So by end of June, if all goes to plan, we'll be fully connected through the inverters and batteries, and we'll also have that generator, as we've mentioned, through the PPA. So there's quite a lot to do, but it's exciting. This is the aerial shot from the actual for the parking lot, obviously without the panels, but that is the actual shot taken last week. Just to remind everyone, there is a 350 kVA generator coming on with this, and we're also expecting to have a saving of approximately just short of R1 million for the first year. Obviously, that's over 12 months, so it is a timely thing from the financial year, but it's an exciting period. Keeping in mind that our electric municipal usage, it is water and lights, is in the region of 4 million a year. So R1 million is significant savings. So we're looking forward to that. So end of June, we should be fully operational. Paddle, just to remind everyone, when we got a paddle approved last year at the SGM, then we did our SDP submissions in December last year. They requested, council requested LDP stormwater fire plan on the 30th of January. We submitted more information on the 6th of March. Then on the 7th, they did reject the LDP. Those who don't know, it's a landscape development plan. They wanted more details, which we've done. And then there was another partial approval on the 4th of May. That's for stormwater and fire plan. What's outstanding is now the LDP, as mentioned. We had to update that, and they've also asked for a geological survey. So that's in the process. Those are, from what we understand, are the two last critical elements. The biggest element and challenge we've had with the paddle is the application for the Wayleave application, is moving of the entrance. That's been the biggest stumbling block for us, and not so much the building. It is the actual entrance, because our state roads are deemed as public. So it needs a lot more further approval. So that's why the Wayleave application is taking a lot longer. So that is the status. I don't know how much longer. I'm hoping with the LDP and the geological report submissions, we can get this done as quick as possible. But we hope we're pulling every string we can to try and see if we can get this done in the right way, but as quick as possible. We want to get it going by June, start breaking ground in June. We would like to see it up and running by December. So that is a time frame we're working on. We are pushing and doing what we can. We don't want to be sitting as a construction site in December where everyone goes on holiday. Okay, 12th hole. Okay, 12th hole. I trust everyone received the detailed correspondence I sent out last week. I'm not going to go into history and he said, she said. It is pure information. 12th hole, as a communication sent, the settlement was reached. There were fees associated with it. But the biggest thing, which is the positive out of all this, has been resolved. And we got the design done by Peter Mackman. It was part of the settlement. Peter Mackman has been the original course designer, for those who don't know. So we did a redesign of the 12th hole. Took all the factors into consideration. It was signed, it was settled and agreed. So we've started constructing as of today. So those who've seen it, there has been some movement on the T-box already. So there is movement. Approximate time, 6 weeks of construction until completion, so I'll say. So it's an exciting time, but will be sort of inconvenienced during the 6 weeks process. There'll be players at par 3, which is approximately 115, 113 meters at the moment. So it is a lot shorter, but the intention of that is to get players and golfers and members away from any earthworks. So please, with caution, when you go through there, those golfers and also people who are interested parties, please, it is a construction site. But the positive thing is we have now got movement on the 12th hole. So in 6 weeks' time, we should have what we see as a completed product as per the settlement and as per Peter Makovich's design. So if I can go into the design just a little bit, so you have a little bit more context. I'm going to come around this side here. Sorry. Just to keep in mind, we are.
You state the mic. All the guys at home.
Okay, sorry. All right, so just the actual hole itself is, this is the current tee box, so that will be remained. The people start working there this morning, so they're taking the sods out. They're going to be raising that by 1 meter in height, and the purpose of that is to try and get a little bit of elevation so you actually can see where the ball's landing. You can actually see the landing zones, where the danger is, and you know how to play the hole effectively. With that, all this marked in yellow is going to be densely sort of built up vegetation. Let's call it felt grass, aloes. It's going to be pretty much unplayable. It's called a no-go natural grass. That's called a no-go area. That is, if you're going, eventually, when you go in there, you're probably going to battle to find your ball, let alone find it. So that'll be, the intention is to protect the houses on the right-hand side. There you'll see, if you see carefully in the shadow, there's a current bunker there. So that'll be minimized. So this will be part of the fairway, but this will be highly dense grass and vegetation. There'll be 2 new bunkers built at this area. This is 270 meters from the back. Okay, the designed landing area is approximately 240 in this area. So between 230, 240 in that region. This over here is also new in the sense of, again, no-go natural grasses, quite dense vegetation, and that this part bunker here. So the intention is to encourage every golfer to try and hit this landing zone, try and play it as a 3-shot par 5. This here is almost impossible to carry. That's 300, so you can see that's 330 meters. So from a golfer, those golfers in the room who think you can do it, there's not many you can. So it's going to be so thick, it's going to be too high a risk. So it's been designed to hit your tee shot to here. You lay it up to this area. So this fairway has been widened on the left-hand side. You can see that's the current fairways here. So it's all been widened on the left-hand side just to get all the golfers hitting it further left and then play it as a par 5 from there. So it's a 3-shot par 5, and it's going to take approximately 6 weeks to finish construction, and then obviously got to grow in. So we can only open up the hole once Peter Makovich has signed off that it's been built as per the design, which I have full confidence in his team, because his team building it. So they will design it. He'll be natural inspections. There's a steering committee which is overseeing it, making sure it's been done. And then once it is grown in and the tee box is back in play, we will look to open up the hole back to a par 5. All right. Okay, so I'm talking into budgets. I'm not putting those line by line. It's a high-level budget, which is for the current financial year, started in the 1st of March. So we're looking at an overall turnover of 66 million for the year. There's GPs, there's profit before depreciation or EBITDA, and a net profit of 1.7. So that is what we forecast in the budget. Keep in mind, there's a budget. There's a few variables in place. We forecasted paddle gets delayed even further. That's going to affect us more. There's a few things that we need to do in place of this, but that's what we're trying to achieve. We're hoping we don't have a repeat of flooding, which we touch wood we haven't had this last summer. Where last year we had 13 days, and the financial statements reflected that. The green fees and golf and carts and F&B was quite a long way behind budget for those rounds of golf from flooding in last year's March, April. So touch wood, so far so good, but this is what we're looking to do as far as the revenue line goes. Just to break it down a bit further, just for those in the room, so there's a golf department per se. Obviously, that's all green fees, golf carts, golf memberships, all sitting in this line. Then the expenses with it, and then we have an internal sort of departmental internal charge. Then we have a paddle section, the anticipated paddle memberships. That's not food and beverage paddle. This is just paddle memberships and court hire fees sitting in this line. Food and beverage for this is all entities, including the paddle. And then what we call the clubhouse, which is where a large chunk of your social membership go. That's where that sits. And then in departmental charges, this line down here all goes into this department here. So that's why we take it out of the bottom. So there's 3.4 there, EBITDA line, and 1.7 net profit. Okay. If there's more questions, obviously there's quite a lot of detail in a short space of time, so I'm happy to go individual with you afterwards or another time to go through a little more detail. There's quite a lot to grasp there, and all the independent internal charge is probably the one to probably fully understand. It's how we do it in our reflections. Okay, then we have our strategy aligned. Then we have food and beverage. We have seasonal sort of, we've committed to do seasonal menus as opposed to once every 6 months. So we're doing it every quarterly with the two major ones, summer and winter, but then there'll be updates every quarter amongst that. There's Cricket Soccer World Cup that's coming up. We've done the cricket. We've committed to certain service standards that we're looking to do. I'd like to think there's been an improvement in the last couple of weeks on that. For those who came out yesterday, I think what the feedback is that everyone enjoyed the Mother's Day. So thanks for all the support. Over about 200 people came for Mother's Day yesterday, so that was great. Golf operations, we're looking at quite high membership retention rates. That's over and above increasing our members, golfing members. For the new year, we're looking to do more dine and play, 9 holes, 9 and dine, Fridays and 9. So a lot of activations in the quieter months. Then the membership, we're looking to do quite a big campaign to grow our golf section. We're looking to go up to 10%. That's why there's some campaigns that we've done in March and July and December in the past. Then there also will be a new racket membership, which we're going to be launching in parallel with the paddle. So once we've announced the paddle construction and sort of timeframes, we'll be doing a racket membership. So that'll be a new exciting new membership portfolio in the club. So there's a little bit of work to be done on that one, but that'll be a nice new addition to the country club feel of the club. Banqueting and conferencing, an important element for venue hire, food and beverage turnover for all our businesses and then conference business, corporate members himself. So there's quite a big campaign around that. Then there's a marketing section. One area that we haven't been too strong in the marketing element. So there's a strategy around that. So emails, social medias, WhatsApp campaigns. There'll also be a little bit more loyalty programs launched within the coming year, as well as internal sort of promotions around memberships. And then events. We've done the monthly night runs, quiz, jackpot, fun evenings. There's comedy nights, which we've done one. We're looking to do a few more of those. There's quite a lot that we do around paddle. So there's a lot of social events planned for the coming year, ranging from winter to summer. And then part of that, our commitment, we are committing to a target of 60% GP from more for obviously food and beverage. We're looking to no more than 30% our staff cost ratio, and EBITDA currently we're targeting 7.5% as margins, and then we're also committing to having some sort of capital we can put into the capital reserve fund for our upcoming projects. So we can actually start building some funds. And as I said, these are sort of monthly management reviews that we're looking at. All right. Are there any questions on any of those topics? I know I went pretty quickly before we go into the strategy with Peter. Is there any questions?
I have a question for the 12th though.
Yes,
Can you go back to the slide?
this one here.
If I can just show you what I want to ask. What distance will this thing be from where the boundary?
Sorry,
You're gonna develop this with all kinds of bushes.
grass, yes.
Yeah, what distance will it be from our property to is it against the boundary wall or?
We haven't marked that specific location, but we're going to be walking it with when we get there. But it'll be pretty close to the boundary, but there will be some sort of area that you can walk through.
Because obviously we want access to the golf course.
Yeah, it won't be a fence like this next to your house. You have access to it.
How high will it be?
The grass will probably, and the current grass that you can see on the other side, that grass will be quite sort of the height.
So is it just gonna be grass or will it be something prettier?
So there's going to be a mixture of things, but majority will be grass.
So the grass doesn't look too well after a while.
Not sure, but that detail will come to, but we'll take consideration of the look and feel of it.
The panel courts, the application to the council, is that for 2 or for 4 courts?
2 courts.
So if we do decide on 4, we get to go through that process again.
We would more than likely, I would assume so, but our challenge there, we don't have space for more there. So it's more of a, so it's been built around sort of what we have availability for space goes. I think once if we've got a paddle court and we want to expand it and we earmark a position, we just need to go through the process. The way leave has been the difficult one. If it was a normal SDP application, I think it would be pretty quick.
Okay, so if the demand is high, is there sort of plan to do 2 more courts?
If the demand's high, then yes, we're going to have to look at it. It's on the way, but we'll look at it. We do Edmund first.
Hello, Gareth. Can you just go back 1 slide, please? Right. The remedial interim works. What was that 918,000?
That's a combination of all the vegetation we did, nets, applications, construction, professional fees, working equipment, all those sort of things.
Can you perhaps give me a breakdown on that? Not now.
That's fine.
And then if we add 1.9 of Nakowicz onto it, we're talking about 5.3 million, which I see as a fruitless exercise to go to court. Or we didn't go to court, we got taken to court, but as people are saying, there was fire or fuel poured on the fire with the person that took us to court by saying, let the court decide, which I think was a very silly mistake, if that is true. What are we going to do about the paddles that something like a 5.3 million exercise here that we didn't achieve nothing? Where the price was 3 years ago 1.4 to do the design change. Now it's 1.9 and all the legal costs. What are we going to do? Have we spoken to all the tenants around the paddle courts with noise that's going to happen there that somebody else doesn't take us to court?
So answer your question, yes. We've engaged with all the residents around the the paddle courts, and we've actually got a report done by an acoustic engineer. So we've done that, and we obviously had a resident who's concerned about the noise. So we've gone through the whole process. We've got a whole detailed report. We spent money on it. So we do have all the sort of acoustic information and looking at ways we might manage that. But it's been designed also considering residents.
Then back to the 12 hole. Somebody on the left that might get more balls now. Are they allowed to take us to court?
Yes.
Yeah, it's us.
That's you.
Yeah.
He's doing.
What I'm saying, we must be very careful. We spent 3.5 million already.
Wasted expenditure.
It might become very high. And I hear you saying that you survey about the paddle court, but I can tell you the people are already talking about if it carries on, there's going to be a court case.
Okay, I'll ask a comment to that. I hope not. But I can't comment to that.
Well, Darren, for me, I hope not doesn't give an answer or doesn't answer it, because for me on that amount, there should be director's liability on that, because in my mind, they made a very stupid mistake by going to court. This should have been settled out of court, and it would have cost us 1.4 million, which there was a plan that was approved and then got cancelled by the management. And then you spend 918,000 on nets and stuff, which didn't happen. But I believe we paid everybody and nothing happened. So for me, that's negligence with our money.
Okay, all right, noted. I don't know what the answer of the question is, Edwin. I'm not sure the question. What's the question?
My question is from the beginning when I started speaking to you. Are the homeowners going to take you to court about the paddle courts? And are we going to spend more legal money on that? And what's the accountability on spending money like that and we lost? Any lawyer is just going to tell you, yes, I can win the case. But everybody knew we weren't going to win this case.
I suppose is an opinion, but as I said at the beginning, I don't think the point of this is we're talking about an update. We moving forward here. We need to.
Gavin, it's not an opinion. That's the bottom line. 3.3 million is the bottom line. It's not an opinion. Centurion lost. We could have spent 1.4 million. Who is responsible for that loss? The management. Those silly choices. And you've got all the acoustics and all for the paddle courts. I'm aware of people, residents, that is not happy with your plan. So we haven't consulted all the residents that is impacted by the paddle construction. There are other golf estates out of province that had to move their paddle courts because of noise. And I can guarantee you, we are opening ourselves up. I mean, paddle courts is brilliant. I've got nothing against paddle courts. But for the residents, I don't think they understand what paddle does. And I'm telling you, we are opening ourselves up for another litigation. And we've got our professional opinions, and it's an opinion. That's the opinion. 3.3 million loss. And we are paying for it. I've got a very nice concern on that.
We need to divide the issue in two. One, the paddle courts, and the other one, the 12th hole. How the 12th court case came about, we can have various opinions about. The bottom line is that the club was taken to court by a resident. Whether that was right or wrong, or whether there were opportunities to avoid it, we can always debate. But we were taken to court by a resident. That court case has been settled, not by the court, by an agreement between the club and the affected residents. It is a settlement which is involving what you have seen here. We have an agreement regarding the new layout of the 12th hole. There is a steering committee with representatives from both the club as well as also from the applicant and residents on both sides on the 12th hole. And they will monitor and supervise the execution of the new layout. And we will go back to 12th hole only when Peter Markovic have confirmed that we have built the hole in accordance with the agreed drawing. that's where we are. History cannot be remade. That's the 12th hole. Regarding paddle courts, when you do a project like this, there are regulations, standards, municipal bylaws, and so forth, which we need to take into account. And that we are doing. We know exactly what the municipal bylaws demands in terms of noise distribution around the paddle courts. We have measured in a technical and factual way the noise levels as they are today on both sides of the paddle course, on the roadsides as well as also on the 10th fairway. We have a extensive professional report from that, which we have gone through and informed the relevant residents. And especially in one case, there was one resident on the 10th hole who were very concerned about this. We have gone through that report in detail, and he is happy that one, we are sharing everything we know, and two, there are reasons to believe that we can install noise mitigation measures so that the noise is more or less what the noise levels are today. So that's what you do when you have a project like this. There's no other way, or there's no guessing, there are no opinions. It's factual, technical measurements which we can do. Okay.
No, there's factual cases in our country and overseas of courts that had to close down. That's factual stuff.
Yeah, if they didn't meet the bylaws, yes, I understand that.
I can tell you this will cost us 9 million. Court cases, everything, 9 million, I tell you. So you can avoid it now.
My question is on the costs line, the legal costs line item where it says court-ordered legal costs.
Yes.
If the matter was settled, why is that saying court-ordered legal costs? Was there an application for costs, or were we advised to tender costs during the settlement?
So those were courts prior to cases where we
Costs were awarded against us.
yes. Yeah, so costs were awarded against us, and part of the settlement that before, so obviously you've got to go through the taxation process.
Yeah.
So part of the settlement was requested, the part of the conditions was we paid 30% upfront, and once taxation completed, then it'll be either refunded or added more. So that was part of the settlement.
Well, the settlement that we pay 70 in advance before taxation.
Yes. But if it's obviously, if he owes us money, then obviously he'll refund it, and vice versa.
Yeah, very gracious.
So what you're saying, the amount can still go up or down?
Yes, it can. That line, yes.
Do you know about by how much to 50?
Well, that's 70%, so that is.
So 50%, let's call it 150.
Either way, yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, first to what he was talking, I'm not critical of this because I'm quite new and stuff. But then lessons learned on this. Are we still lessons learned, and are we trying to mitigate this not happening in the future? Because I can already hear from the question that, will it happen again? Will it affect their property and so forth? So are we looking at this and trying to prevent it from happening in the other homes also?
Oh, the simple short answer is yes. Obviously, there's lessons learned, and always in reflection, you can always say this part you could have done this and that, vice versa. There's always improvements to be made. So now that this has been recently settled, there is a reflection going on now. We within the board, we're going to be discussing and analysing sort of this process, what we've just gone through, and use it for going forward. We don't want this for the club. We're trying to avoid this. This is, in the sense, it doesn't make sense long term for the club. But yes, to answer your question, we are learning from it. There's always an opportunity to get better. So we take the best out of this and make the necessary adjustments.
Sorry, just to go back on the compensation amount, what is that for? Hurt feelings or I don't know what?
That was. It was linked to the mediation day. So part of the mediation process where it was didn't come to fruition, we wasn't mediated. So part of it he said will cover my costs. So that was part of the settlement. So that was more to get the thing closed. It's more than that. Let's get this thing settled. We need to get construction going. Let's build the hole, get this thing resolved.
I just want to say,
Just check that everybody understands the difference between what we have agreed, namely a settlement agreement as a result of a negotiation process or a mediation process and a court case. First of all, the court system in South Africa is very overloaded. So during the last year or maybe even years, there has been a great push, and I think it's even legislation, and help me if I'm wrong, Charlene, that in many court cases, the courts are pushing for a mediation. Means settlement outside of the court. And that push we got from the court around August, September last year. We had a court case date set for 27th of January, if I remember correctly. And we continue to go to the court, and irrespective of who the outcome of that court case, there would always be an appeal opportunity for both parties. Means that we would have another few years before we come to the Supreme Court of Appeal. And we would have continued to have legal fees. That is for certain. So I think both parties made a very focused attempt to see if it was possible to settle this outside of the court system. And the settlement agreement is a final and permanent settlement of the issue. There are no appeal process at all. It's a full stop of the whole process. I think, at least the board, I can go for the board saw that as a huge advantage. And that's why we came to, after tough negotiations, I would say, to the settlement agreement. And the 250,000 is part of that process. So here, through the settlement agreement, as a result of the mediation process, we have a full stop of the process. Have we gone to court, irrespective of the outcome, we could have had 2, 3, 4, 5 years ongoing in an appeal process, which I think both parties trying to avoid.
Sorry to take you back. I just have another question. Taking you to your reflections on what we've learned and what we're taking from this. Prior to the board taking a resolution to oppose the matter, was it played around, or did we get an opinion perhaps from an advocate, say this is your chance of success in the event that you do decide to oppose, or was that what happened?
Yes, so both parties had advocates and junior and senior advocates and legal advice. Both parties.
And the legal advice at the time was oppose, you have a choice.
Well, yeah, the legal advice I think from both sides. I can't talk from the other side, but yes, they felt we had a strong case.
Okay.
Charlie? Yeah.
Right. I just want to mention I'm the compliance and risk officer on the board, so you're welcome to come and speak to me afterwards. I can explain.
I just couldn't find out.
Let's go. We'll come to you now.
Gavin, I think someone was obviously speaking about the past, and Pierre, you mentioned that what is in the past is in the past. I don't think we would say that about the South African government, right? We just leave what happened in the past. We don't keep accountability. So I think the members of the club are entitled to have call it a report, if you will, of why the club made the decision back in the beginning to not take the opportunity to take the cheaper route and to account for decisions that gave them the confidence that it's better to follow the route of possible litigation. I think that's how we keep accountability.
Yes, sir.
I think also part of what you're saying, was there some type of consultation done specifically related to settlement? I understand there was a discussion with the board, and I'm assuming Mr. Chairman said that now it's full stop is done, but it's not really full stop if you didn't consult with the residents and with the homeowners association and specifically with the residents that are affected by the changes. Because now you made a settlement, the homeowners are not quite happy with the settlement, and we might have future effects of this changes with residents, which then means new court case coming in future.
Okay, so answer your question, part of the settlement is there's quite a few things that both parties need to do. One is the communication, which we sent out. There's also going to be a meeting with residents on the 12th hole to go through the process with those directly affected residents. That's coming up shortly. And then obviously it's also part of going through this process. We need to make sure that that answer your question.
No, not really. So my question actually is, was there any consultation before the settlement with the residents at the victim? Because look, now you've already settled, so consulting with them now is a little bit.
Well, there's also a steering committee put in place. Maybe that'll answer it. So part of the settlement there's 3 members who live on the 12th. So that's called the steering committee. So there's 3 representatives, and then 2 from the club. So that group is involved with Peter Makovich, so the 6 entities that oversee it, and that group is also going to be sort of communicating. So the settlement is done, as you said, that's correct. That needed to be taken by the board, but there is part of that is there's a group of individuals that are directly affected who are taking the interest of the residents to account. Yeah.
My problem that I've got, 12 holes not my problem. 12 holes not my problem. That is my problem. It's part of that liability. What happens if battle course all the stuff? I don't care. Soccer involves me, but that involves me. And that is my problem. And that's why I like the gentlemen. The board can decide they're going to go for litigation. I don't think it's the board's only decision. It's costing us money. When you've got a free purse, it's easy to say, right, we're going to eat it. Everybody's any advocate, we will win this case. That's law. They're going to make money. And that is why I've got a problem that the board on aspects like this has got the sole discretion. We will fight a litigation. And you've got so many opinions, your chances of winning is 50-50.
Yes.
But it's costing me money.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, man. I don't know if you can remember when I had a problem with balls at my house. I followed the right channels by going to the homeowners because I'm a member at the homeowners. The homeowners were supposed to represent me, which they did, and we resolved the story. I don't know how much it cost you. But did it happen in this case, in this court case, that the homeowner, the HOA represented their member to you guys and say, guys, can we not go to court, this and this and that?
This started when you were the GMs and president, so you can answer that one.
So yeah.
This started when you were the GM and president. So yes, we've been engaging, but this started before I got here when you were the GM and the president. So
no,
this has been going back and forth for many years. So,
but I never went to court when I was president or GM. But what I'm saying is, did the homeowners represent their member?
Every meeting, we discussed it. There's always a representative of homeowners.
Because, in my opinion, they should have negotiated for their member with the club and not go to court.
Very nice, thank you. Okay, any other, can I move on to strategy? Any other questions?
Just on another issue altogether, the new racket membership that you spoke about, would that be like a membership fee? And so currently you could, for example, you can use the tennis courts, you just pay for the lights. Would that now become an incremental cost too?
The details to be determined, but yes, the idea is there will be some sort of membership fee, obviously to create a sort of club environment like we have the golf section, but obviously with full different structure. So we're looking to do a racket membership of some sort. But details to be determined, there's still a lot of work to be done on that. Yes, sir. I'll come back to you there.
So my question's on the solar, and we just go back. So I saw, I think it wasn't this slide, I think it was a different slide. We said the first year we'll make about 1 million profit, yeah. But then we are spending how much on the solar?
Nothing.
Or we're not enough cost for the panels installation?
No, we did a PPA agreement, which we presented to the members last year. So it's a 20-year PPA agreement. So it's been financed by a company called Geltech. But we couldn't afford the 10 million to pay for the whole system. So we signed a 20-year PPA agreement for it. Okay.
On the paddles side, please go to the geotechnical investigation.
Sorry.
Here we go.
Yes.
So that geotechnical investigation that's being done, is it going to only apply to the area directly at the paddle pool? Is it going to be used like all other geotechnicals are done through Chawa, and the full report is provided to them so that when residents need it for insurance purposes or whatever. So what's the extent of the geotechnical investigation?
Ours is specific to the paddle location, but there was a gentleman who did it. The original geological report, I think is the right word, that was done back, I think, in 1986. That was done. He did an update last year. So that is, and I've seen the report. It's obviously got, I don't know the details of how it did, but there's an update of that report. But that individual is going to come and do ours, what is requirement for our application, which is obviously specific to our spot. But I know there's a lot of other reports. There's a whole Dolomite thing going on, but that's different. But we do specifically for ourselves. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. I'm going to hand over to Peter just to go through quickly on the strategy.
Thanks, Gavin. And I'm not behind the podium because I'm scared. I just want to make that point. All right, so my job here tonight is first, many of you might not know me, you might have seen me, but I'm Peter de Beer. I was elected with Charlene last year as the first 2 non-golfing members on the club's board. It did make quite a difference to the board and the dynamics of the board to have 2 non-golfers on the board. And I've inherited a strategy portfolio because of my professional background in it. And I must thank Gavin and Per for a smooth start. I think if it was not for the 2 of them, tonight would have been much more difficult to explain to you what are we planning for the next 3 years and what you would see we get to in these 3 years. In the discussion we just had, I think it's quite important to say 2 things maybe, which is now off script. But the 2 things are, it's very, very easy to sit with 2020 hindsight and make comments. And if you're on the sideline, the ref is always wrong, those type of things. Many of us in this estate are professional people, and we understand what it means to be in an executive committee, in a management position, on a senior level on the board. You make the best decision that you can with the information that you have. And if you do that, then you fulfill your fiduciary duty. And sometimes you do get it wrong. It's not always right. It's very, very difficult to only make right decisions. And I think we must remember that. I don't say that is the matter that we discussed now, but I just want to get back to that. And the other thing that I want to get back to is, and as a resident, and something that I never understood, I'm fairly new in the estate, only moved in 2018. I do not play golf. I thought all the money is only going for golf, like many other people maybe in the estate. And it was quite an eye-opener to understand the business of the estate. We are a lifestyle estate, and we are governed differently because of that. And we need to do certain things for our homeowners who are all members of the club to make sure that we take care of this club for you. And we do it as best as we can. But board members are elected. You have the chance to put members there. So if you're not happy with the current board, you have the power to change that and elect new members to get the right people there. So at the moment, for who we are trying our best. And we've got the new leader, Pat. Last year when Charlene and I got elected, was also appointed as president of the board. And quite a number of things happened in this state. So at this stage, it might look like I'm just going to continue with what Gavin said and just repeat what Gavin said. But that's not really right. And I did write a few things down. So they just use the right words and do not say things wrongly. Because I do realize since I started to be more involved in the club business, it's quite important to say things in the right way. So I'm going to not present the strategy tonight. You will get a document with the AGM documents that explain what the strategy is, where all the information will be. So I'm just going to give you an overview of what we do and why we do it. And that's for the next 3 years. So, and the strategy, and I think it's quite important to understand it, is that first sentence, a stewardship first mandate, protecting and enhancing the shared assets of the estate and the member experience for all residents. We must remember that all residents are members of the club. And then there are separate golf memberships. And many people, I do not think, always understand and remember that. So if we look after the facilities, it's not only about golf. It is about what Gavin spoke about. And many of the things that Gavin spoke about that happens in operations are early onsets of decisions of the board where we have a much more governance outlook for the future to go ahead. And I think after this, we might answer some of the previous questions as well. I'm not going to chat about the paddle. I'm not going to say anything about energy resilience. I think we've talked enough about that. But the clubhouse. So we as a board decided that we first need to go to sort out the club's house problems. And I must make sure you understand that. I don't say we're going to sort out the clubhouse, but we can sort out the club's house problems. There are many, many challenges that we need to overcome. We had 2 tough years before finally. Let me just go through the slides. You have to follow the slides. Otherwise, I'm gonna might confuse some of the people and the people watching from home. So we had two challenging financial years, with both years that we ended up in a loss. And through sharpening our focus, changing things, tweaking things, we do have a forecast that we will have a projected net profit of 1.7 million in the next financial year. That is not something that we dreamt up. We really, really looked at what is happening in the club, how we do certain things, and how can we do it better saving costs, sharpening our pencils, and making better decisions with what we have. We're also using much more data than might have been used before. And our increase, the more data you have, the better decisions you can make. So we will stay accountable. What Gavin addressed and what he touched on is the different across golf, food and beverage, banqueting, paddle, racket, and admin, that we have profit pool reporting, and we are developing a dashboard for different levels to monitor continuously, and the inspiration is in real time of what's happening with the club. So there will be a dashboard for all homeowners. There will be a dashboard for homeowners that's also golf members. There will be a dashboard for Gavin as GM and his management. And then most importantly, there will be one for the board so that we can make informed decisions. All these dashboards might not be available immediately, but we will prioritize so that we get the first ones that we think is the best for making better decisions first in, and then we'll go down the line. But hopefully, if we stand here next year this time, all those dashboards will be there as I named it. We also did some external benchmarking, and we will continue doing that to ensure that we are not necessarily on par with other clubs. We must decide and know what type of club we are, what estate we are. Because there are many decisions that one must take there. And that is things that will come to the members as the board decide to make decisions. At this time, we do not change anything. Per and others worked very, very hard to make sure that we have a code of conduct and that the two boards between the club's board and the homeowners board work much better together, and that we're actually looking after this estate, because homeowners must remember we are in charge of your most primary asset. If the golf course is not looked after and golf is not looked after, you do not have property value anymore. And people must remember that. It's not that golf is more important than others, but we are firstly a golf estate and then lifestyle that's coming with that. We must remember that. The other decision that we made was that we will have stage-gated approvals in the next 3 years. We're not necessarily just going to go on with things. We have the, as we said here, the 3 pillars: paddle, energy resilience, and the clubhouse. But infrastructure resilience is a foundation for everything. So business as usual is something that we're going to really sharpen up and look at and make sure that we understand that and do it the best way that we can. And one of the reasons that I actually became a board member or put my hand up was when we decided that we're going to spend on these capital projects, the so-called, if I go back to this slide, clubhouse upgrade option 3, which was anything between 20 million and 60 million rand. And I was thinking as an owner, gee whiz, can we afford it? How do we do it? How are we going to do it? And now we understand actually how we're going to do it. And we understand what we need to do before we can do it. And that is, I think, something that is quite wonderful. And we must give thanks to Paris president and other longer standing board members to get us there, to help us to get us there. And we must give credit to the homeowners board as well, that also helped us to get to that stage. Quick forecast, what we see, revenue, net profit. We are forecasting that we'll have a 3 million profit the next financial year, and then, well, next financial year, that's a year after this one, and then 28 to 29, 5 million profit. So we have confidence that we are looking correctly at our crystal ball at this stage with these. It is conservative, informed forecast. It is not just based on previous numbers and put a percentage in and inflation, all of that. It is really much more informed like that. than that. So we're growing the top line, we're strengthening the bottom line over the next 3 years. The last two slides, I've got 2 slides left, and I'm going to zoom in a bit on these 2 slides because I think this is what it is really about. And on the left is governance improvements, things that might not have not been there formally in the past. I'm not sure because I was not here, but we formalize now that we have a audit and risk committee, and the chair of that committee is Jan Greiling. There are 4 meetings a year, and they have a very important job to keep us honest and make sure that we do the things right and that we do focus on the correct risks for the correct rewards, that we do not just look at a one-sided thing because paddle, I think, is one of those things. It was voted in by a far majority of the residents. Some people will always not be happy, but the Audit and Risk Committee makes sure that you actually did your fiduciary duties there. And what Per said on that is very, very valid. New constitution and rules that's being compiled and disseminated, that made a big difference in how the 2 boards work together and how we look after the whole estate. Court judgment, and this is not the 12 hole. This is a separate court judgment that we won in court with courts that's showing us that the way we do things and the way that we do legislation and how we operate is actually sane. It is informed decisions. And that is quite an important thing to remember. So procedurally, everything is sound. Financial controls, we're going to sharpen in on the financial controls. And as I said, that's going to be the profit pool reporting, all the dashboards, etc., all of those things. Operational infrastructure on the right-hand side, that is many of this is business as usual. But we do understand that business as usual might change in the next years. We might have touched with a lucky year with floods so far, but we need to ensure that we are sustainable over the longer term. So flood mitigation, water security is 2 things that the board really focus very, very hard on and make sure that we get the correct research and information on that and do what we can to mitigate risks. I mean, we cannot change the river, but we can do maybe a couple of things regarding the river, saying that river is not only our responsibility, it's also homeowners' responsibility. Preventative maintenance. This is as usual again, but then there's other bigger maintenance things that one must forecast. Something that is in the future is regarding the golf course, maintenance of the greens, the irrigation, pump house resilience, all of those things. That is very costly things that we need to ensure that when we come to it, that we do have the money and the capital to spend on that. My last slide, and that is sort of, I think, what all of this is about and what we as a board strive to is what stewardship means for every homeowner. We are not here just to make sure that the golfers are happy. We are here to ensure that we become a club of choice, that we are, in my mind as a non-golfer, I know that fan court is fancy, I know that waterproof is fancy, and I want to be in that same league if we talk about Centurion. And there are ranks, and we know what number we are on that rank, but we want to improve that to get to a number that people see Centurion Golf Club as a very, very serious contender. So that is to protect property value. The better the golf course, the better the experience to everybody coming to these facilities, the higher property value. It just goes hand in hand. Reliable amenities. I don't think I need to explain anything about that. It is a foolproof. You understand if the chairs that you're sitting on are falling apart, then people aren't going to like the place. Cost containment. We had a couple challenges, especially regarding the restaurant, food and beverage. couple other things that we had to zoom in and contain. We had a couple surprises that we didn't want, people resigning, people coming in that were not what they should have been. And then those things happens. And that is things that we try to improve and get better at. Then transparent accountability. And I think that's what the discussion was about the panel and the 12 hole. So although everything was not maybe presented here tonight, everything is well documented, everything is recorded. Any resident that's a member of this estate have access to that. You just need to book a meeting with Gavin, and you have insight to what you want to have insight. There are no secrets. So you can see exactly how the decision making were done. You can go through the minutes of the meetings and how discussions were held regarding the 12 hole and get some understanding. It is, and we are really striving to be very transparent about that. And it all comes together in the enhanced lifestyle, because that's the reason why we're here. I don't think I think even if you're a golfer, you do not stay here just because you're a golfer. But our location, where we are in Gauteng, in the vicinity of everything surrounding us, this is a prime place to be. Security, you can't compare with anybody next to us. So it is our job to make sure that many years from now, that people sitting here, children's children, can still have the best of Centurion lifestyle estate, and that we do the best for all of you. So in summary, all of those want to say is that it's about stewardship, resilience, discipline, and that's the essence of that new 3-year strategy.
If I can add a few words to what Peter has just said. And I think it was in my very first letter to you, maybe the second, when I took over as acting president now more than a year ago. I said that in view of the situation we had at the time, we had to basically suspend all capital investments. And in spite of the fact that you have heard here about 2 fairly major capital projects, we are following that strategy. Why? Because, as you know, the solar project, the solar PV investment is not done by us. We have a power purchase agreement, and we are only buying kilowatt hours from the investor, who is investing in the order of 9-10 million rand in the whole project. So it doesn't affect our balance sheet. The panel project is basically totally funded by the homeowner association by and through a decision at their AGM. So we have these additions without loading our balance sheet. First thing. Secondly, for future capital investments projects, and of course Peter mentioned the major one of them, we have to do some cleanup. You use the word sort out the club's house, was it so? And that's what we are really doing. And that's what we are really doing this year and next year, because I said I want to see a substantial improvement of bottom line in the order of 4 or 5 million rand before we start looking at any major investments. And that's what you see in year 3. So in simple words, there are no capital investments in this club this year, next year, and the year after next, in the 3-year strategic horizon. Even if we are having a couple of projects being built. So that's a kind of a very simple and in one-liner summary of the strategy. Gavin and his team are working very, very hard and focused in improving every single cost line, and improving customer service. And I think I'm right when I see that we see signs of improvement, both in terms of figures and data, as well as also service levels in the 4 different restaurant operations we have. On the same time, we have an outspoken ambition to broaden our activities, to more become a country club than a golf club. And of course, in that space, the starting up of a racket section, including tennis, squash, and paddle, makes perfect sense. We have a debate, it's just a debate of shall we, and if so, to how much shall we increase our members? Right now, for some of you who were at a couple of events, I've notified it, we have today 1,300 members in the club. And we can measure that by facts through the social card and the golf cart. That has come through a very focused development during the last 2 years by trying to engage residents who are non-golfers to come and enjoy the clubhouse. It was 0 close to 2 years ago. Now we have, say, half golfers and non-golfers residents. So this evening is supposed to be a part of the process leading up to the AGM on the 26th of May. We're doing it today, face-to-face and streaming, in order to get a debate around questions. The AGM will be held on the same virtual platform we used last year, where we had a record participation. I think it was more than 400 participating and voting in the AGM. So tomorrow you will see the full AGM invite, agenda, and set of documentation going out. It will be the financial statements, audited financial statements. It will be my president's report, the auditor's report. It will be what else? The strategy document which Peter mentioned, and so on. So please read through that. I can promise you it's a few pages, but it's worth it. Because another thing I promised you was also increased transparency. During the last year, I have issued 5 president's letters, and we have shared the quarterly results 3 times for the club. So everything is out in the open to what is practically possible, I think. All right, any more questions on any subject? Please.
Maybe to take me back to the profits of the club, please. Now, I'm going to make a comment. I'm the participants in this clubhouse 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So I think we have more here than most people.
Okay.
Experiencing what's happening in the club. Looking at a profit margin of 1.7 over turnover of 66.4.
Yeah.
Usually 2.5%.
Yeah.
I'll fire those here. That's what I'll do.
You what?
Profit margin of 2.5% on a turnover of 66.4 million.
Yes.
It's not great.
No, I agree with you.
And what I want to hear is rather what is the actions that club is doing to improve.
Okay.
Bottom margin is not that's fine. That is normal. But what is being done in the club, because there's a lot of things that's wrong in the club.
Okay.
A lot. Okay. And for non-golfers, there's only one attraction, clubhouse.
Correct.
You can go and walk on the golf course after golf hours.
Okay.
So putting the golf course as the attraction for non-residents? Sorry, it's not an attraction. Only one asset.
Yeah.
That asset is not well managed.
Yeah. Well, First of all, this is not an end result. You saw from the strategic view that we are aiming to have that at 5 million.
No, we'll need more information, obviously, but,
Yeah. No, can you show that slide? There. There's the 5 million up there. 5 million pound. And that is approximately 7% of the 77 million. We need to remember that this is a non-profit association. We are not here to create profit for the sake of making profit. We are making profit in order to be able to make investments and to build up the balance sheet. You saw from the history, minus 1.7. In my business experience, there are fairly few step functions in nature. It grows better and better and better in a continuous curve. So from this year, minus 1.7 to next year's plus 1.7 is an ambitious target. But we know two things. First of all, the 1.7 million legal fees, which we booked in last year, will not reoccur in this year. Secondly, we will have at least 8 months out of 12 from the reduced electricity costs. So that brings us a bottom line improvement of at least in the order of 2.5. So from minus 1.7 to plus 1.7 is an ambitious target. And I am pretty convinced that we will be able to reach that. But we are saying it's not enough. And in comparison to what I said in my first letter, I want to see a profit in the order of 4 or 5 million before we take the next step and push forward a proposal and a strategy for refurbishing the clubhouse. The funding of that is still outstanding. As you will see, and I'm going a little bit ahead of Peter's strategy document, we have changed our view a little bit in comparison to where we were 2 years ago. It may be so that external funding and external financing is available for us. So we will explore that first before we looking at any levy increases, be that social levies or special levies. So that gives you a little bit more information about how we see it on the bottom line. All right? Any more questions?
I just want to say thank you to all of you, all the work that you guys are putting in. I know there's a lot happening behind the scenes that you don't get to see. When you come here and you get roasted.
Right. Well,
and a lot of it comes from the fact that, stuff is coming out and we need to take accountability and read stuff.
Yeah.
And understand it before we put the hand up and want to get our voices heard. But I would just like to say thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. All right. Anything else? All right. Again, look out for the agenda and invite to the AGM and the reading pleasure of all the documents. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very sissy.
I was waiting here to tell you it's July.
Yeah, is it contributing?
It's not handing out the mix.
It's not even.
Anyway, let's go back. It's a, we can dispute, but he's in the comment.